All right. Here we are. This is
Yes.
my best friend Jeff Ivy, who
Hello,
can't
everybody.
who evidently can't see anything.
I
And
need to I need to put on my eyes.
yeah,
Um,
and I'm David Nowell. And we just wanted to basically we just kind of wanted to start a little podcast, video cast, whatever you want to call it, just
yeah.
about music and about growing up and all the fun we had, and so much of it
Yes.
centered around music
Yep.
that we just
I
kind
mean,
of want to do it.
basically that's all it is. I mean, it that's how everything. I don't know. That's how it just got stronger.
Yeah,
The music drew us closer together than anything.
yeah,
Um, our love for it, and especially the same genre. We
yeah.
we all like the hard rock and the heavy metal. Um, but before then, I don't know. Before I met up with you guys, I was all into pop and all that stuff, which wasn't bad. I mean, I love pop to this day, and I know you do.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I was thinking today that I was thinking today as I was coming home from Chapel Hill. It's like what what was the first? What was your memory of the first song you ever heard? I mean, what was the first song, no matter what it was, pop, country, disco, whatever, I, you know. And I was thinking to myself, when I lived in Dover Apartments, which was in Raleigh, off of South Saunders Street, I remember listening to a lot of. This was like '76, 75 or '76, and I remember listening to that song, "Loving You Is Easy." I don't know who it is, but I had a clear memory of listening to that and like listening to Paul McCartney and Wings. I love you. That
Oh,
song. I,
great,
I
great
remember
song.
listening to that song quite a bit. And that was like some of my first songs that I listened to. That got me to like, I kind of liking the music thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and anyway, what was the first song you do you remember listening to?
Well, what I remember about music is basically Wendy, Denise, and Buck, what they listened to. I can
Yeah,
remember Wendy and Denise. It's probably about 75, 76, like you're talking about.
yeah,
Our cousin Robin, and I remember them singing "Fly, Robin, fly
yeah,
up into the sky,"
yep,
and then Buck had his own room, and he had a record player, and he had
yeah,
albums,
yeah,
and I was always going in there and sneaking in there and listening to his K-Tail. He would
yeah,
have a bunch of
yeah.
songs off K-Tail. It would be "Flirting with Disaster" with the theme song from The Exorcist, which was just too weird.
What? All on one,
Yes,
all on
all
one
on one
album?
album. And I would play the theme to The Exorcist and scare myself to death.
Oh my
But
Jesus, man.
I also remember listening to Rolling Stones. He had like a greatest hits Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
which was the early 70s. And
yeah.
I'm like six, 5, 6 years old listening to it going, no, this is kind of cool.
What
You
was the
know,
first song you remember?
I cannot
Just
remember.
whatever, right?
I just
Just
remember listening to that, and Molly Hatchet
I
"Flirting with
had
Disaster" was
you. Yeah.
on the little K-Tel, and somehow I could sneak in there every once in a while and listen to it without him beating me. He beat me for everything else, but
I had a KTEL album that I remember the album cover. It was a pair of headphones with wings on them or something like that. And it had a lot of cool songs. It had Boogie Wonderland. It had the Cars. It had Boogie Wonderland, and it had Good Times Roll by Cars.
oh, great song,
Um, and it had God, I think it had How Much I Feel by Ambrosia,
great
which is
song.
one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Um, but it had some very diverse, just a bunch of different style songs on it, you know.
hang
But
on,
those
just
albums were cool though, man.
yeah, hang on 1 second. I'll show you something if it's in here.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I do dig the rock and roll over sun visor you have there, Dave.
Well, I was gonna show you one of the albums Buck had. It had an egg frying on it, and it was Southern Fried Rock.
Oh
and
yeah.
I've still got it. But my boys took my albums upstairs and they divvied them out because they wanted a few of them. So
Yeah.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll get it, and maybe next time I'll show it. But yeah, I've still got a lot of that stuff. Um, but yeah, there was always music playing. I tell everybody in my house, they listen to stuff different.
Yeah.
Mama was listening to the Eagles and the Supremes somehow at the same time.
Wow.
So I got that. And then,
The Eagles
uh,
and Supremes.
yeah,
Damn.
Mike Sr. was listening to stuff like Chicago, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I was getting that from whenever I was with him. And then
Which they're great. I mean,
oh
all
yeah,
those bands are great. Good
Buck,
God.
Buck was Southern rock and hard rock. It was either Leonard
Yeah, boo.
Skinner or Ted Nugent or Kiss.
Yep.
And then Wendy was the main pop. It was like Peter Frampton and Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And then Denise later on, she's the one that got me into Van Halen
Yeah.
and Foreigner and stuff like that. But
There
yeah,
you go.
I got a little bit of everything. So you know, I was listening to everything. Yeah, pop was
So
definitely.
how old were you when you really, 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 really got into Kiss?
I was 6.
6. Okay.
Buck
Good God.
Buck went and saw him in concert, and he came back
Yeah.
and he was telling me all about the stage show, the
Oh yeah.
fire and
And you
breathing fire and spitting
so
blood.
when you were 6, that was what year was that? That was
76.
okay. Okay.
And then
Prime for Kiss.
oh yeah, and then a couple maybe a couple months later, a couple weeks, hard to remember, but his best friend bought Rock and Roll Over, the band,
Yeah.
and he brought it over to the house, and I was like begging him for it. And for some reason, he decided he was going to give a brand new album to a 6-year-old kid.
It's probably tripping him out, man. It's
Oh
probably like,
yeah.
okay, cool.
And
Carry the
then
torch.
the minute I put it on, though, that was it. That it the start of "I Want You," the acoustic, and then it
Yeah.
was over.
Yeah.
Then that was it. I was hooked on it, and then everything was
And
Kiss.
you wanted to hear more and more and more. You
Oh
were
yeah.
going, yeah.
What
That's how
what?
it was with Van Halen.
Well, I was
So,
gonna say, yeah. What was the thing that made you all of a sudden go, "Whoa, Van Halen! This is me. This is my band."
well, you wouldn't believe me. When I first heard him, I didn't like him. I was like, yeah, I didn't like that at all. That's when I was in that pop stage, and I thought they were kind of nasty, which is crazy looking back at it. And then I heard, honestly, I heard it being played on a boombox at East Garner. It was Run of the Devil. That's one of my first memories of hearing Van Halen and going, I might dig this. And then I went on to hear more and more. It was the first album for the most part that I heard, and basically that's kind of all I knew.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't really get into the other the other albums until like, let's see, Glenda, my cousin Glenda, who is deceased now, rest in peace. But she dated a guy named Whit Covington, and they lived right there close to Vandor Springs School. They had the pool and all that. Anyway,
Yeah.
we went over their house and they had a bunch of albums, and I saw Van Halen. And I said, "Can I take one of these albums home with? Can I listen to it?" He goes, "Sure, pick one." And I sifted through the albums, and I saw Fair Warning, which I thought was a cool album cover. But you know what? I didn't pick it. I picked Women and Children First, and I wore that album out, man. And the Cradle Will Rock came on, and from then on, I listened to it every day. That along with, I don't want to change subject, along with Double Vision by Foreigner, which my cousin
Oh
let me borrow, and
yeah.
I listened to that all the time. So it's mainly Women Children First, and Double Vision was the first good memories of albums that I got that I listened to. But what got me liking the Van Halen is it's just I just grew to them.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
my brother bought me one of my first albums, and I remember this. We lived in Hillbrook Court in Garner, and I was like 9 or 10, and he bought me I want to say it might have been later than that, but anyway, he bought me Van Halen too, and I still have that. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have that album. Uh, I had it for a while. Then I cut it up and hung it on the wall. I cut up the inner sleeve and all that. Anyway, that's what got me drawn to Van Halen. Plus, I remember listening to the radio and recording, the radio. I think it was G105 or something like that. Anyway, I remember this very clearly. It was. I remember listening. You know how you record and you have to pause it so you wouldn't hear the DJ. Anyway,
Yeah.
did that, and I had Dance the Night Away on one of my mixtapes, and I remember very clearly before that, it was freaking Family Man by Hall & Oates.
Oh yeah.
And I remember listening to that song to the very end, and I paused it, and then Van Halen 2 came on. I recorded it, and like I said, I had a bunch of songs on that tape, but I remember that transition clearly from Family Man to Dance the Night Away. And some pretty cool stuff, man. Pretty cool memories. Lord have mercy, man. But yeah, that's what got me into them. And then, when we moved to Forest Hills Apartments, I had my picture. I still was in a pop phase too, but I had Prince hanging up. I had Duran Duran and all that. And then I got into the Van Halen deal, and I started getting posters of those guys, which I wish I still had. But that's what got me into Van Halen, and that's just what started all. When I started listening to all their albums, from the back catalog, and that Fair Warning was, it didn't really. I mean, I didn't get into it too much, until later on, but that's turned out to be my favorite album by those guys. Fair Warning, definitely, man. I remember sitting. Oh, it's Walter. I remember sitting on the porch. I remember sitting on the patio on the 3rd floor, C308, and I would listen to Fair Warning, and I would stop it, rewind it, stop it, rewind it, stop it, rewind it, and just listen and listen and listen. And I loved it, man. God Almighty, I really did. Yeah, Fair Warning is definitely my favorite album. So, but yeah, man. Ever since then, I've been a Van Halen fan. As you can see right there.
It's
thank you, Lala.
Isn't it funny how you and I both we were into pop just as much as we were into Van Halen and Kiss, but when we started hanging out with everybody, and was it middle school? What was it? Junior high, middle school?
It was middle school.
All of a sudden, you couldn't like Duran Duran, you couldn't like Hall & Oates, because you would catch hell. I mean, you were going to get picked on.
Yeah, just keep it a secret.
Yeah. Well, I started liking like Duran Duran, stuff like that, because I remember I hung around with people like Amy Bagwell and Wendy Summerlin.
Yeah.
And they were listening to that, and they loved them. And I just was like, oh, well, my friends are listening to it, I'm going to listen to it too. But there came a point, and it was me and you and Tim and Richard and Johnny and
later.
Yeah, Walter came a little bit later, and Troy Bagwell. We were all of a sudden, you had to listen to something heavy. You had to listen to hard rock, and the guys had to look like the hair metal sort of thing. And all of a sudden, I remember all of a sudden my Hall & Oates albums got pushed to the back, and my Duran Duran got pushed to the back. But now, me and you, we spend as much time talking about those as we do any hard rock or metal stuff.
Yeah.
And but at the time, oh no, because I remember.
No, that was definitely a time you could not. You did not let it be known that you listened to that. It had to be heavy. It had to be Van Halen. It had to be heavy metal.
Yeah. I remember other people kind of trying to get into our group.
Yeah.
And if they didn't say the right band, man, that was pretty much it.
They got slaughtered.
Well, if we didn't push them, if we didn't like just quit hanging around with them, we picked on them so bad. Well, you and I a little less than others, but you would get picked on so bad that they were like, you know what, we'll just go hang out with somebody else, which was kind of awful. We were very much musical snobs,
Yeah.
probably because that was the only thing that we weren't cool enough to be snobs in any other way. So we had
No.
we had to be snobs musically because we were
We,
highbrow.
damn sure. Well, I wasn't a jock,
Nah,
so Um,
nah,
but yeah, and them jocks didn't listen to. They didn't even touch the music we were
no,
listening.
no.
You know.
I did
And
find it funny when Def Leppard and Bon Jovi kind of exploded.
yeah,
Then all of a sudden it was interesting to see all the popular people at school listening to it.
yeah.
And
'Cause I'm
you and
telling
I
you,
and we were kind of like, well, we've been listening to these guys long before they became famous or whatever.
it's old news. Yeah.
And but we still weren't cool. It didn't matter.
Oh man. And,
we
and it didn't. It
no,
didn't. We had our own little group, man. And that's all
yeah,
we knew.
yeah.
We had our own little clique, and we didn't worry about anybody else, man. You know, we didn't worry about anybody else. The jocks, the preps, the smart kids. Everybody had their own thing. And we were just
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't say stoners, but we were the heads, and we listened to the heavy metal or hard rock and roll music, and
Well,
I
I did.
wouldn't have wanted to be in any other group.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it is funny though. I think there was a perception about us that I always found funny because you and I, especially, not so much everybody that hung out with us, but you and I, we were so straight laced
Oh yeah, yeah.
that it was funny because I think that we were probably perceived as as potheads or whatever, or we were trouble.
That didn't come. That didn't come till later for me. So, but anyway, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
it just it's funny how that perception, once you get it, it is tough to get rid of.
yeah. I know it is. I'm gonna have a dog. There. Oh, look, there's Sue.
You gonna play me a song? Play me
Oh,
a song. I love you so much.
Sue done licked me in the mouth, Pooh Peter. But yeah, uh, yeah, it was it. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that's what we got into. That's the kind of music we got into, man. You know, because that's the best kind right there. The best
Yeah.
kind. I mean, like I said, I got the like we talked about. We like the pop stuff too, man. And like you said, we definitely talk about that quite a bit
Yeah.
in our conversations, man. But that kind of music was just as cool, man.
Oh yeah.
It was just as cool in a different way. You know, but we were all about guitars and singing and all that stuff.
Long
Um,
hair, long hair.
and if there was keyboards, we had the Van Halen debacle
Yeah.
with the when David Lee left and Sammy had came. Talking about we made a bet about the 5150 album that all the tracks were going to have keyboards, and
Yeah.
you know, it got really down and dirty, nitty gritty. We'd listen to it. Tim would dissect it, and oh
Well,
man, keyboards right there.
the
No, no.
the funny thing is, we dissected every album. We just had more of a purpose on that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, we did.
No matter what album one of us got,
Yeah,
we would put it on usually my record player,
yeah.
and then we'd be like going through the liner notes, like, oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god, do you see who sang background vocals on this song? And
yeah,
and
yeah.
and, and we just, you're listening to if it was a two guitar band, you're like, well, who played that solo? Was that Glenn Tipton or was that KK Downing?
Okay,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah,
just for so many people, music is like this background noise. It's
yeah.
kind of like going on behind them. And
It
with
was
us,
not like that with us.
no, it was. I'm not gonna say it was a religion. I'm just gonna say that it wasn't far from one,
It
because
wasn't, man.
yeah, there were so many things that were decided about it, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this. You and I'd say on average between 3 and 4 times a week, we
That's all we
talk to
talked.
each other on the phone.
Yeah, yeah,
And we talk about old times and old
oh,
friends and stuff like that, but
yeah.
we still
The
talk about
majority
the
of it's
same
music.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like that love,
Yeah.
the stuff that when we were first becoming friends in like 84, 85, or maybe even before
Yeah.
then, those same albums that we used to sit there and just dissect,
Yeah.
if it pops into one of our heads, all of a sudden we are right back dissecting it.
It is. Yeah, I know. And it's such a great, and that's just it. I don't know, man. When you have a bad day, you think about the music back then, and it definitely strikes a memory or whatever. There's always something that coincides with it as far as back then, as far as what you went through when you heard it and all that. And it's so cool. You hear certain songs like, man, I remember the exact day I heard this song. I remember what was going on, and I remember having such a great time. You know, when I heard this song, and it's crazy how strong that is.
Well,
It,
that
it
that's why
keeps you
newer
young.
yeah, that's why newer music also has a tough time sometimes measuring up, because no matter what, you can hear a song now that's just great,
Yeah,
but unless it's something that you're playing when you're with your children, or when you're Laurel or I'm with Amy, unless there's something, it doesn't have that same memory thing.
no,
You
no,
know, it's
no.
what is the memory going to be? Us riding around in the car, blasting it on the way to work, which, don't get me wrong, it's awesome and it's wonderful, but there's certain songs that, to me, there's so much added to them, and all it was us riding around in your Cordoba, or in your
Yeah,
Camaro,
yeah,
and we did absolutely nothing, but it was us just riding around, listening to music, trying to
yeah.
make each other laugh,
Oh
whatever
God,
whatever it took.
we usually succeeded in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it was. I don't know, man. Uh, like when we saw the guy that looked like Dio. Where was that? That was off of. I think that was off South Saunders Street, or up around that area. We saw that dude, man. He was driving. I
Yeah.
was like, that looks like Dio. I think I was after y'all. After I slammed on brakes when you pulled the latch on the seat.
Yeah, go
We
flying
saw
into
him
the
after that.
yeah.
But anyway, oh
Yeah, the
Lord,
stuff we did to entertain ourselves, and but for the most part, the one thing about it, we weren't trouble.
no
And
man,
you and I, especially because of our moms, we just
yeah,
decided early on that we weren't going to be trouble.
no,
Now, we weren't angels either, but
no, no,
I think we both just decided that our moms were not going to get that phone call saying, your son is doing something he's not supposed to.
oh, good God, no, man.
And, you know,
We didn't even come close to that. It's
nah, nah. I mean, we very quietly had our fun, and did our stuff. And,
yeah,
some people, no matter what they were doing, even when they weren't doing anything, they would be so loud that
yeah,
they would get attention.
yeah.
But, what are you
It's
going to do?
what are you gonna do, man? It's nuts,
But,
totally nuts.
we probably got about a little less than 10 minutes. So I was just going to say,
Yeah,
besides just talking, like I said, we talk all the time, and it's like we kind of were like, it'd be kind of fun if people heard what we talked about. And I would love if any people who grew up with us wanted to get on here with us.
chime in.
We're
God,
hope
my chime.
we're hoping Walt Rabin will get on here with us, because
He'll be on here one time. He'll be on here soon. I'm pretty
uh,
sure. And I ran into Richard at the gym
yeah, Richard
not
Costello.
too long ago. I was thinking about that today to get him in on this, because we shared a lot of the stuff with
Oh
him,
my goodness, yeah.
and he said he talked to Johnny Owens, and have we get Johnny on here, and just, I don't know, man, if we can't get everybody together, you know,
If we,
naturally,
yeah,
face to face, we could do it like this, be just as good.
yeah.
And I'm sure we could find a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, you know.
Well, it would be interesting to find out if especially Richard, he was so Motley Crue. That was his band, and he just was just in love with them. And I would love to know, does he still have that in him, or has he moved on, or
Well,
I'm sure it's great memories, but who knows?
I do know Tim, he was a big Motley Crue guy now, but now, since he started playing guitar, and he is so good. Tim is so extremely good on the guitar, man. I've seen him kind of grow over the years, with his playing, and he's a natural. But and he's now into like blues and Allman Brothers and Steve Ray Vaughan and Black Crowes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bands like that. When he used to listen to Motley Crue, and he liked Randy Rhoads and all that stuff. He still likes that. He still loves those guys. I ain't trying to talk for him, but
Oh yeah. Well,
but now he's all into the blues guitar, which is great because that's what his style is.
I'm sure though. I'm sure if he got to talking to us, a lot of those old memories would come back, and
Yeah, the
you
black
know.
the black paint under his eyes, doing Nikki Six and all that.
Yeah.
He loved Nikki Six.
Oh
He
yeah.
did love Nikki Six.
Uh,
I'm here. The bing
maybe
bing.
maybe I'll break out some of the pictures too, and because every picture, Richard and Tim both were like just, yeah, it was gonna be there. They were doing the full Motley Crue, which was weird because everybody was Motley Crue, but you and I. We were the two that were. Later on, Walter was different too. He wasn't, but yeah, we
Yeah,
were the two oddballs.
Walter was Ozzy,
Yeah,
and yeah, Tim was definitely Motley Crue, and Richard was Motley Crue, and Johnny was
I think he was
Johnny.
Motley Crue.
Johnny was Johnny.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say something, but we need to definitely get them,
Yeah.
hook them up with us, and like I said, we could have tons to talk about.
Yeah.
Tons to talk about, man.
Well, and the other thing I just wanted to do, you and I, we talk about the new music we discover and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of people that really recognize the names we're talking about, stuff like that. And one of the things I wanted to do is I just wanted people to hear these names and possibly go and look and maybe discover it because there's all these
That's what I try to do to
artists.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that people know American Idol singers, but Jeff Scott Soto and Jolyn Turner are basically just so unknown and overlooked by that just drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
people may listen to it and go, well, this guy's got no taste whatsoever. But it would be kind of cool just to get people to look into it and see,
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Missing out. They're missing out. Even the stuff I listen to, I'd love for people to hear. All the heavy stuff I listen to, because me and you have great ears for music.
At least
yours
we think,
more.
at least we think we
Yours
do.
is more in the hard rock. That sense. Mine's like progressive and metal and soaring vocals and all that stuff. Which don't get me wrong, Tony Harnell and Jolyn Turner are fantastic at what they do. And Jeff Scott Soto. God, there's a lot of stuff out there that people don't know, but I love to turn people on to.
Oh yeah,
I love to turn the people on to
yeah.
the music you listen to. Like the Westworld and all those kind of bands. Which it's all great music.
Yeah.
It's all great music. I mean, geez.
Well, I'm hoping people find something interesting. If nothing else,
Yeah.
us recounting the old Garner years.
Uh-huh.
Or, if you don't know us and you're not from Garner, like I said, maybe we'll mention some music and you'll either know about it and love it already, or you'll be like, maybe I'll check this out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, because it's a big thing, man.
yeah,
A lot of great stuff out there.
well, hopefully we'll come up, like I said, we'll come up with a topic beforehand and know what we're going to talk about. And just, I'm sure, I have no doubt that it end up going in different directions, knowing us, because some memory will pop in our head and we'll be like, let's go down that trail. But hopefully next time. We only got about another minute, so
all right, cool deal.
I'll probably talk to you tomorrow on the phone.
Yeah, tomorrow's your Friday, so that'll be tomorrow, and then Monday we'll resume.
And as soon as I put this on, hopefully it'll go on YouTube. Hopefully there won't be problems. But as soon as I do, I'm going to share it. I'll give it to you, and I'll probably share it on Facebook, and you share it, and
Okay.
I'd be kind of curious to hear if
Yeah.
anybody watches it or whatever. But
Yeah.
all
All
right,
we
man.
can do is try.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Mhm.
guess we'll go ahead and go. And like I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
Okay.
All right, take it
Peace.
easy.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, bye.
Later, man. Bye.